Good morning, everybody. Thank you to be here for this presentation. It's an honor to be here in Toronto. To introduce a bit myself, in fact, I start my career in a company called Coffee Loisirs in France. It's a bank specialized on film financing, and then I became CFO of a big TV series production company called Ego Production in France. And I wanted to go back to the cinema, so I start to create the Les Arcs European Film Festival in a ski resort in France, and we created there a co-production market, and it was a good success. It starts really quickly for the festival and this co-production market. And recently we created a second co-production market in Paris in June, last June. So we are now running two co-production market and one festival in Les Arcs. And I'm also producer with a company called Paprika Film. I co-produced a film which won the Silver Bear in Berlin 2 years ago. Just the win, it was screen here also in 2012, and my partner on the company produced the film called Amazonia, a 3D movie, which was also screened here last year. So I'm involved in co-production as producer and also as manager of film festival and co-production market. So René asked me to start this day focusing on co-production by a little small overview on the co-production in the world, which is not so easy. But I will try to explain some elements I think which are important in the co-production, and also to see the new trends on the co-production, and do a quick overview also on the co-production market and how to prepare yourself also to the co-production market. I will try to do that in 30 minutes, so it's not so easy. To start, I just want to say that the co-production is also a legal question, and which is really important in TAG, because there are two visions, two different approach in the world, and I think we can oppose an American approach and a European approach of the co-production. In Europe, a co-production is defined by laws, by the treaties, the bilateral treaties, but the multilateral conventions, and it's really important that there is a legal statute for the co-production in each countries, and if you satisfy the requirements of the treaties and the conventions, then you can have an access to the public funds, which is really important in fact. So to create a co-production, it's first be sure that you can satisfy those requirements, and then because in the fund, the most important in the co-production is to get funds. So that's the first step to respect that legal text. This approach is the approach of countries defending their culture, in fact, and countries with a cultural policy, and of course, as they are funding their culture, they are funding for the production of national films. They want to protect those funds. So. The treaties and this legal system is there to protect that. In the U.S., the approach is more, we can say, a business approach with more equity partnership and joint venture system, but no treaties, because there are no national funds, national support of the film industry, so they don't have to protect something. In fact, they are winning the game. In fact, they have 70% of the market share about that in Europe, so they don't have to protect their industry. They don't have to defend it, and So we can understand that they don't care about this legal approach. And I think that's important. I think the two systems, you can find two systems even in Europe. You have non-official co-production, but I think that when you are producer, when you are looking for fund, it's really important to know very well those legal system and the treaties and the convention to be sure to enter the system and to get the funds. So, and it's not only a question of funds, but it's also a question of quotas. And if you want to access also to the TV pre-sale, it's better to be an official co-production, to be recognized as a national film or a European film, to get access to those pre-sales. So that's why this is very important to understand that in co-production. I'm gonna change this. So to have a quick overview on the different treaties, you have several kind of agreement. You have first the bilateral treaties between two countries. The Canada, for example, is the world champion of the treaties with 54 treaties, which is really important. Then the France is the silver medal with 45 treaties. So I put there a few recent treaties signed by the Canada with India recently. France signed with Palestine and Cambodia. You can see that UK got only 10 treaties, and the last, I think the latest one was with China at the beginning of the year. Spain got 17 treaties, most of them with South America. And Germany got 18 treaties, which is, I don't know if it's enough or not, but it's less, of course, than France and Canada. But I think you can also use not only the bilateral treaty to create the co-production, but also some text like the European Convention on Co-production and the Latin American Cinematographic Co-production Agreement, which is of course, as the name said, it's for Latin American co-production, but also co-production with Spain. And the European co-production Convention on Co-production is a very interesting tool to do co-production, because when you don't have a bilateral treaty between two countries in Europe, you can use that text. And when also the bilateral treaty is not enough interesting, when it's less interesting than the European Convention to create the co-production, you can use the European Convention. And they are more for multilateral co-production also. When you are several countries to co-produce, you should use this agreement. So the past year we saw also something, a trend which is really interesting, is the increase of the treaties signed by India, Brazil, and China, which is in fact following the development of their market and the development of their film financing. So I think it's one of the most important trends I observed on the co-production and on the treaties and the convention side. I will pass this slide, which is in fact a few elements we can find on the co-production conventions and treaties, because you have, I think, a very good panel this afternoon about this topic. So I think it's better to, and I think we don't have enough time to explain all that. So I took some elements to observe the current trend on the international co-production at the moment, to see how it changed the past years in terms of co-production in the world. It's quite difficult to find good statistics about that. I found some for Europe, but not really for the rest of the world. But there is something really important in that. We can observe, of course, that with the crisis, the global crisis, the past year, a lot of countries diminish their public subsidies on film. In Europe, especially in the south of Europe, and but not also. I recently heard that Iceland is also reducing the budget for the cinema, and I even heard that Norway is cutting some budget. When even Norway is cutting, it's really a bad moment. But in some countries like France, Germany, or Denmark, we observe that there is more or less a stability of the financing the past years, even if this year, in 2014, some budget were reduced, like in Germany and maybe in France. We're going to see maybe the next year will be difficult for the CNC because there is intact. The most important is the diminution also of the advertising income for the TV channel, and as they reduce as the advertisement income is reducing, naturally the investment on films is reducing also, and in some systems like in France, where the CNC is founded by the TV channel, when the TV channel budget is reducing, the funding is reducing also, which is probably a bad news for next year for the CNC. But when you mean decreasing on TV pre-sales, the effect is the diminution of the global national financing on the film. So it's interesting that we observed in a lot of countries in Europe a diminution of the national 100% film financed by 100% national funds, and an increase of co-production. When you have less investment in your country, you are naturally looking for financing in other countries. When you see on those statistics, for example, in Italy and in Spain, you see that the 100% national films are decreasing, and in the same time, the minority co-production and also the majority co-production are increasing, which is really interesting to observe, because it's really clear that there is this decreasing. In countries like France or Germany, it's more or less stable, or maybe a bit increased in Germany. And I put some statistic about Belgium, because it's quite interesting to see how they are balancing between the national 100% film and the minority co-production, because they are about 8 times more minority co-production than 100% national films. Which is because, of course, it's a small country with a lot of links with France or Netherlands because of language. So they are doing a lot of minority co-production with those countries. But also, in the same time, it's because they find a way to defend their system and their industry with a lot of system of tax credit incentive and also regional support. Finally, very interesting for co-producing, especially when you are in France or around in Netherlands. So I found that statistic quite interesting. In the same time, that's for Europe, but in the same time we saw also that the new big countries as China, Brazil, and India are increasing a lot their financing and co-production because of the increasing of their market, and they also developed some really interesting system for financing film and co-producing. The Brazil, for example, got a really interesting tax incentive system, where the private companies can invest 4% of their revenue and on films, and have a really interesting tax reduced. So it creates really a huge financing capacity in this country, and there is a huge development also in TV investment and public funds. So I think the Brazil at the moment is really developing on co-production and on national production also. China, of course, got a huge increase of the financing capacity, co-producing with Hollywood, which is interesting, and also Europe, more or less on big film, less in art house films. Usually it's a strategy also to bring talents and knowledge in China. There, for example, big directors like Jean-Jacques Hano going to China to make a movie, or really big names. They are looking for that, for big names, big talent. And also the co-production in China is very interesting for them because it's a way to pass the quotas. They have some quotas for the distribution of films there. And with a co-production, you are not in the quotas, but you can access to the theaters and the exhibition there, which is, in fact, really interesting for American and also European to co-produce on that. India also really developed the co-production with Europe. I think there is also this there is a success in France of a few Indian films like Lunchbox, and I think there is an appetite of the people for this culture, for the Bollywood film. So I think it's also a consequence on the globalization of the cultures, and I think this success creates the desire to co-produce more, to do films there, recently I saw a lot of films co-produced with India in this trend. In the current trade in international co-production, one I think is really important is also the development of the tax credit system. So, of course, in fact, at the beginning, tax credit system were created to attract some film in the country, to have expenses in the country, to have production, develop the industry in the country. But year after year, finally, it became a competition between countries. Which country will get the best tax incentive? And now, finally, I think maybe not all the countries, for example, in Europe, get a tax incentive system, but a lot. You have Ireland, Belgium, France, Germany, Croatia, Hungary. A lot of countries get a really interesting system. So now the question is not what is the tax credit system in the country I want to co-produce or I want to shoot. The question is which is the soft money I can add to this tax credit system. So, and in terms of soft money, pre-sales or regional funds, and I think Germany or France are good, I think, countries. I still continue to be good partners and countries with a big potential for co-production. If you are looking for, I think it's really important in Europe to take a look on that country, of course, because you can still find money for co-production there, and then even with the crisis, it's still interesting. So I have 10 minutes. That's okay. Okay. So I pass. Where to find a co-producer? That's an important question. Of course, you have the big markets everybody knows. In Berlin, you got the co-production market, which is, I think, one of the best co-production market in the world, with very good projects. You got everything there. All the companies are there in Berlin. And yeah, I think it's a good place. But as in Cannes, or because you have the producers network, which is a good place to meet the people, or you have a co-production market in Toronto or in Busan or Hong Kong and Vancouver for the biggest, I could say, market in the world. It's good because a lot of people are going to those markets, but for different reasons, not only for finding co-production, but to sell films, buy films. And it's not so easy to create there. Something I think is really important on co-production is the knowledge of the different parties and the confidence, because co-producing, I think everybody knows that co-producing is a long road. It's a long path, and you need to be in confidence with a co-producer because yeah, it's if your co-producer is not financially in a good shape, if your co-producer is not, I don't think, honest, or is not do the wrong artistic choices, or there are so many reasons for being careful of a co-producer and the co-production. So I think you don't choose your co-producer in 30 minutes in a speed dating. You know, it's not only that. It's just, you know, create a relationship, which I think it's really important. And I believe that in smaller co-production markets, you can find this relationship. You can find more time. You can catch the people easily, and you know, have the time to develop this relationship. So I recommend some smaller co-production market. You have to be careful also, because year after year you have more and more co-production market everywhere. So recently I received an invitation from Antalya, and I didn't know, for example, that there was a co-production market in Antalya. It's a new one, yeah. And this is an example, but the question is who is going to this place? Because if you are going to a co-production market, you are of course looking for a co-producer, but I think it's also a financing market. It's a place where you're going to find sales agent, distributors, equity funds, regional funds, and it's important that this co-production market will concentrate enough people to be interesting for you, and also be a good place to network and have this time with the people. And I think Rotterdam is the mother of the co-production market, the oldest one, but it's still a very good co-production market, more art house oriented, but than others like Berlin or Les Arcs or Paris also. But it's still a very good place in Europe to meet the people. Les Arcs, I think I'm going to promote a bit my my job, but Les Arcs is a small village. It's a ski resort, and in this village, everybody is kept there, and you cannot escape. So you have to be with the people, and finally to have, I don't know, but you know, half an hour and pitch on a chairlift and continue on the slopes. It's also nice to create a relationship with somebody. But it's also the case in cocktails, in different festivals. It's really important to create that relationship, and we try to do that in Les Arcs and in Paris. More something more human, more, yeah. I think it's really important. You have some very good places. It depends on what you are looking for, in fact, for your co-production. Which territory, which language. If you are looking for a Nordic partner, for example, Haugesund is very good because you will find all the Nordics there, and the place is really tiny. You have the time to be with the people for 2 or 3 days, so you create a relation with the people there. If you have, for example, a genre film, I recommend Fantasia. They organize now a co-production market in Brussels, which I think I should not say that, but is better than the one in Montreal, because in fact it's concentrating more people and more sales agents and distributors, but because Brussels is not far from Paris, not far from Berlin, not far from London, and finally on independent film, the biggest sales agents are there. That's why also the Paris co-production village is interesting, because of course if you are looking for a French co-producer, but also if you are looking for a sales agent, it's a good place because all the independent European ones are there. And if you are looking for a Southeast partner, or if you are from a Southeast European country, Sarajevo is also a very good place to co-produce. There is also the IFP, but really I have to say that I don't know IFP because I never been there. So I know it because it's a famous place, but I cannot tell you if it's such interesting or not for a co-production. But the one I presented are I think for me the best places. I have 1 minute. Okay. So just few recommendation to prepare your participation. So you will have, if you go to a co-production market, you will have a lot of meeting, about 30 meetings in 2 or 3 days. So prepare yourself, prepare your pitching presentation, your promotional material, your brochure, trailers, the previous work of the director, of course, with links, DVD, a budget and financial plan, and work on it, because I often see a really bad financial plan when I receive the project, and it's really important to show that you know your business when you go in such a place. Have a clear idea of what you are, of your project, and what do you want on the market. And as I said, be prepared not only to meet the producers, but also sales agent, distributor, regional fund, all that. To optimize your participation, just few recommendation also. Try to meet the professional you haven't had the chance to meet before in another place, and be careful not just prioritize only big and known companies, because every meeting can be interesting. Even it often happened to me in co-production market to finally to have the best meeting with somebody I didn't really want to meet at the beginning, and it's really important. You never know what's going to happen. So I like, as an organizer of co-production market, to mix between the my recommendation for organizing meetings and the request of the project. So I try to mix that, because I think it's you don't know, it can come and be good. And really after the co-production market, really think to keep in touch immediately, send the requested material directly, and be really serious on that. It's really important. Analyze also the feedback you had on your project, because it's also the first feedback of the market. You meet 30 people, interesting people, and they say things about your project, and it's the moment also maybe to have the last reflection about your project, maybe change things to fit more the market. So it's really important. And it's unusual to seal a deal on the spot, on the market. So be patient, and I think in co-production that will be the end word of this presentation. Be patient. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.